Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Why Podcasts Are Vital for 2026. Right over here is the main man, Casey Cheshire. And I can tell y'all, many of you that are on this call right now, listening to this live stream or rewatching it, you've probably been interviewed by Casey. You might even be part of the community that we're all a part of, which is the Connect to Market community. And we just had a killer meeting yesterday. We were talking about demand and brand, and man, there were so many good people on that call sharing some amazing things. So my name is Paul Jones, and I'm the facilitator of the Connect to Market community for growth marketers, VP of marketing, with early founders or founder-led sales growth. So if you are a community member and you are here watching right now, say hi in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We appreciate so many great conversations. But let me frame this up because Casey is constantly interviewing other people on
It's true.
market. Yes. In fact, you won't believe this, but he actually runs more than this, but he runs two B2B official podcasts, which are called the Hardcore Marketing Show. And then he also does the Connect to Market, or where he interviews members of our community, the Connect to Market community. So in addition to that, he also has another one called Creating the Greatest Show. So he's running 3 different podcasts right now. And then in addition, Ringmaster, really cool company. They build podcasts for companies, and they've built over 50 podcasts for companies in their lifetime. Also, if you didn't catch this a few months ago, they were able to get their flag, like they created this Ringmaster flag on the top of Everest. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So, Casey, we get to actually hear from you this time. I get to ask you all the questions. We get to put you in the hot seat. And we're here to talk about why podcasts are vital for 2026. So I had a podcast back in the day. We ran it for a few years. So I understand this play. I've got some great questions queued up for you.
Yeah.
But we're excited to hear from you, man. And let's jump in.
Well, dude, it's like we've got so much time and so little say. Reverse that. We've got so much to talk about, and I'm just dying to just jump into this. And I threw a couple things. There's no PowerPoint death here, but mostly just so I can throw some fun photos in here. I just wanted to sort of organize thoughts for people. I love this presentation that gives some folks ammo for building that plan in 2026 to involve podcasts. And not just from they sound cool or they look cool, I love podcast type perspective, but like roll up the sleeves and like go to market in a real strategic sense. Like, what can we do here? So, and again, shout out to everyone in the comments from the Connect to Market community. Like, working and doing breakout sessions with you all has just been absolutely a blast. So really quick, what we're going to just chit chat about today is just talk about what the current challenges are with go-to-market right now. It's a great acronym. A lot of people believe in it, but what you're going to see with some of the stats, we got some really good research, is that most people are not having success with go-to-market right now. And there's a reason for it. And so we're going to introduce podcasting as like a potential avenue for this, but in a very balanced way, right? So I want this conversation to be ammo so that someone can use this to put that in a plan for next year. We're going to talk brand versus demand. The spoiler, both can get addressed. If you have a brand problem, can get solved. If you have a demand, if you're trying to fill that pipe, top of the funnel, mid, toward the end, we've got solutions for that too. And really just to share and educate in this. Also, can't just throw out a channel out there without talking about how to integrate it with go-to-market. And then finally, we have a cool giveaway at the end. It's a podcast planner. It's basically how to integrate podcasting with your go-to-market plan, and it talks through some really intentional steps. So that's the plan, Paul. What do you think?
Well, hey, look, let me tell you this. For everyone that's watching this, you might be thinking, Yeah, it'd be cute for us to have a podcast for our company. Um, but after talking with Casey and after implementing a B2B podcast, Casey's going to share with you a unique way to think about podcasts. Shifting from just, hey, it'd be fun to have a podcast to it's very strategic and it's very relational. And I think it's a big shift because as I've been talking to other people who either have their own podcasts or are thinking about running their own podcasts, I think they miss that key part that you always harp on, which is you really have to think of this differently. This isn't about generating content, it's
Right.
about generating a relationship. And so I
Yeah.
think you're going to hear that probably throughout our whole call today.
Yeah, relationship and revenue too. I think sometimes we get so fixated, like you're saying, on like creating content for content's sake, but then no one comes to get it. So a lot of this is not just creating some good content or good conversations, but how do we get more people hearing them? If you've got the CEO of your company hosting a show and he's talking to another thought leader and these brilliant minds are chatting about strategy in your industry and no one hears it, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't count. So we got to get this stuff out to people. So we'll definitely talk through that. Great stat. Shout out to Sam Graham, godfather of go to market. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. He's the guy. Flip my funnel, all those events, and he's got a stat that just absolutely stopped me in my tracks. We shared it on the Substack. 80% of go to market fails right now. That's like crazy, Paul, right? Like if you're gonna roll the dice, 80% of the time you fail, like something's going on, right? So a lot of time what he said is like, well, fewer buyers are entering the sales cycle. And that makes me go, well, yeah, we're doing more and more self research and more AI research because we don't want to talk to you and your crazy salespeople. Do nothing is the biggest competitor out there. Well, what does this really mean in human terms? It means I trust myself. I don't necessarily trust you yet as you're hawking your software at me. So I just trust myself, and myself says, well, it's not perfect, but I'm going to do it. I'm just going to just do what we're currently doing, status
That
quo.
that one kind of tells me that you haven't in your marketing or in your positioning, you haven't reached that action threshold yet.
Yeah.
Like cuz it doesn't benefit me. I don't feel that I'm going to benefit enough over doing nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe from a go to market strategy. And, I think that probably is mostly positioning and messaging, meaning that
Yeah.
you thought you knew what the problem was, but you didn't spend enough time with the market to really know how it's framed up.
Totally. And, Sam Graham agrees with you on positioning being so vital and go to market. But I would even add into the mix that, like, even if you're positioned perfectly and the pain is bad and I do want to solve it, but if I don't trust that you're going to actually make this happen and buying you is going to get me fired, I'm just not going to do it. Right. And we're seeing that a lot. It's growing a lot more. So great. You got to go to market, multi channel, multi threaded, you know, annual plan, and then it's not working. And so a couple other reasons. AI, right? Everyone's got it now. Apparently, it's got like the lowest churn of all software ever,
I didn't
was the
know that.
latest stat.
Wow.
Um, but what the result is just noise, just so much more noise. It's not you and I chit chatting, right? It's hey, it's Notebook LM with some fake people talking about some fake data that was drummed up by fake things, which is just the mean and the average of all the data out there, right? It's nothing spicy. Like, where's the beef, right? So
Yeah.
and it's just like it's people on repeat. So people are getting drowned out, and we're really good at focusing out the noise.
What's interesting about that one that I'm hearing about right now
Yeah,
is also, a lot of companies are seeing a massive decrease in web traffic because AI summary on your Google search. People don't need
yeah,
to go past AI summary, so they're not reading your content anymore. They're not going to the blog. They're just getting that AI summary, which is that's where it stops.
yeah. Spoiler, there's a slide on it, but podcasting actually helps with GEO and SEO, but especially GEO because it's actually structured as a question. There's question and answer. That's exactly what GEO needs. So I was chatting with someone the other day who they were doing research for their own marketing, and their competitors' data came up in their AI results, and they're like, "Oh crap, I got to get on this thing."
Uh-oh.
My competitor is getting cited left and right on this thing. So all this is like, hey, they're overwhelmed. They've heard it all before. And that comes from the GTM partners. But how I would add to that is they're take resistant. And there's this concept I've just been really wrestling with, the idea of so many of our relationships in the B2B world start with a take. And I was guilty of this marketing automation out the wazoo. And the crazy thing was, I was just taking, right? Like you can't even see this LinkedIn Live unless you filled out a form and blah, blah, blah. That would be the old school method. But we're still doing that with our marketing and with our go to market. So, hey, it's this amazing, completely aligned go-to-market plan, but it starts things with a take. So a couple of the takes. I want your attention. I want to steal your attention. It doesn't really matter that you have like 4 other to-dos to do and you're about to do a LinkedIn Live. I want to steal your attention because I want it, right? And it's not like, let me help you with something. It's, I'm just taking it. And where is this trending? This is trending even worse, right? So you'll see some trending notes on here. And then once I play the silly game of getting your attention, what am I going to do with it? Well, now I need to take your information. Now, thankfully, this is trending a little bit better. People are wising up. They're not doing the form everywhere. Like you can't see a single PDF or anything unless you fill out this form. That was the old days. And you know what? I used to promote that. Thankfully, we're shifting away from that. We're like, no, here, let me give you some of this content. And if you want, you can give me your information. That's the right way to do it. So I'm seeing some good things there. But man, are we violating it everywhere else? Like the inbox. Not only am I taking up your attention, now I'm taking up your inbox and I'm in there and I'm not offering any value. It's trending negative. And then the last one, I don't know if you've gotten this, Paul, where someone said, hey, you know what? I want to take your attention, take your time. Please just hop on a call with me. I'll give you a free tumbler. Right. And I already have a couple, but it looked nice. But don't worry. I'm going to send you some DoorDash money as well. Because again, I want to take your time, but I'm going to give you some of these things. So again, it's just like, and the whole point is that people are resistant to this. They feel it, they understand it, and people are getting better and better, not just about ignoring ads, but about resisting these sort of these like self-indulgent, these selfish asks from companies.
Did you come up with take resistant, the term?
Yeah.
Damn, that is,
You like
I like that. Yeah, I like that a
Yeah, I'm
lot.
trying to think of how to describe it. It's just
Well, yeah, and
yeah.
that's how outbound, inbound, that's how the motion has been forever, and I've always felt that it's super basic. Like, let's just get a list and annoy people until we find the people with the pain.
Yeah. And
Um,
the inbox, right? Definitely, a great sales coach, Dave Rubenstein. He's constantly telling people, stop sending those emails out. And if you're a marketer listening to this, please work with your sales team to stop doing this. And definitely don't do any nurture emails that do this, where you're checking in. He's like, dude, you're not a
just checking
hotel.
in.
Stop trying to check in with, hey man, just checking in on that deal. What you want a free DoubleTree cookie? Like we're not a hotel. Stop checking. There's no value. See, with the check-in, I want your information. I want you to tell me where the deal's at, but I'm not doing anything for you. So again, it's a take, right? So it just constantly we're just taking. So you know what? Gotta love a little PowerPoint drawing. I'm just trying to demonstrate, like, you have all the good intentions, solid go-to-market going into the mix, but then you have the noise that comes from just natural noise, right? All your competitors, all these other things. But now you have the noise getting worse because of AI. And then what? You have that take defense going on inside. I think we give credit to it being noisy and just try to be noisier to get through that. But then we don't realize that there's that take defense happening inside of the go-to-market process. All it's doing is just killing the metrics, right? Just killing the conversion rates. Everything looked that much worse because you've got that shield going on, and we're not considering it. So we're trying to bust through it, but good luck busting through the shield, even with the sharpest sword. It's just not going to work. People get better and better at this, and it's almost one of those like, fool me once, shame on me. Unsubscribe, not taking your call, don't talk to me. So where do we go from there, right? Podcasts, don't want to bury the lead, but like I discovered this by just doing a podcast, and I didn't understand that this was what would happen. I just started like doing the podcast. I'm like, is this going to work? And it started creating content, but even beyond the content was people just started saying, oh, okay. They started rewarding me giving of my time and attention. So with a podcast, this whole cloud thing, it goes away because you're not trying to take it. So the shield is down,
Yeah.
right? Because you're just giving left and right. So we're giving attention. I'm interviewing you. I want to know what your answers are. I'm not talking at you anymore. I'm asking a question and being quiet. And honestly, every company should do way more of that than they do, if they do it at all. Just asking. But I'm also giving you my platform, and I'm not, giving you content if you bartered with me to fill out the form. I'm creating content with you that you can use because you're going to be in an awesome light. You're going to be answering great questions. Man, I'm creating collateral for you and your company. And there's no ask, there's no form field, there's no cost. We're just giving time and attention. So this gets people's attention and they go, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we can have a relationship with this person. Inevitably, they're asking you, what do you do? Right? And you're like, oh, we do this, but it's not about me, it's about you. Right. And you go back to give, give, give. And at the end, your time and your treasure. We often like to send thank you gifts after a guest comes on a show. They're already thankful. And you're like, but you know what? Thank you. Here's this amazing like foam thing, or here's this awesome plaque with a quote you said on it. And people are just like, man, you just keep giving. Right.
That's
And so
cool.
at some point, do you stop giving to then take? No, you keep giving. And then you try to solve the problems you discovered on the podcast with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
This
give, man. It's like the give economy.
Oh yeah, love this. I remember when we started our podcast, our B2B podcast, we wanted to build relationships with CHROs. And
Mm,
so I just started cold messaging on LinkedIn these CHROs from these huge companies and said, "Hey, do you want to get on a podcast and we can chat about X, Y, and Z?" Culture was kind of our focus.
yeah.
And I was shocked at how many people were interested. You take, a traditional take approach, and you're gonna be reaching out to hundreds before you get one response.
Right.
Our response was cut that significantly. I mean, 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 5. It's that kind of once you shift to that mentality, and that's what I think why podcasts are so powerful. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you're helping create as you said, helping create content together.
Yeah, it's not magic, right? And I put it at the bottom. Yeah, and I'm trying to say that like podcasts are like the golden gun. Stop doing all your other marketing. You still need everything else. But man, can I skip a lot of those games? I don't need to buy 1,000 blankets at the trade show so that this person talks to this person. And one day when they need it, tells that person, oh, there's this blanket I got. Maybe we should shop them too, right? It's just this wild game that we played in the B2B world and in the marketing space. And I'm just like, maybe we can just give time and attention to our teacher customers and they reward you for it, right? They're again, they're thankful. And they're like, how can we work together? So um, next, I really just wanted to talk about, okay, like maybe this is Casey. He's the hype guy. Is this just all about
Beanie
um,
Babies.
right? Do you remember those,
That's a
Paul? Do
good
you remember?
documentary.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone on the live, do you remember Beanie Babies? Did you have one? And what
And what
kind did
was
you
it?
have? Throw it in there. Did you have one, Paul?
I don't think so.
I don't even know. I think I was gifted those after the crash. But for those uh, newer to life Beanie Babies, these little cute little guys, something happened and they became like apparently this rare collectible, right? And the market exploded. People were like, oh my gosh. And they went for wild $1,000 billion prices. And later on, now we're like, we have them and
Yeah,
our
we have
kids
a
have
trend.
them. We're like, whatever. They're just like cute little things. But it was definitely a fad. Versus if you had had one share of Apple stock in 1990, we did the math, it would have split something to the point of you'd have 120 shares now. Just one share turned into 120 shares, and you'd have about 30 grand
Wow.
from that one share. Imagine if you bought two, right? Or more.
Mm.
So clearly, when we do podcasts, sometimes we ask people, what would you tell your younger self? A lot of people say, I'd buy Apple stock, or I'd buy this stock or that stock. So really, it's like, how do we know the difference? Is it a fad? Is it not? So I tried to, look around and gather some actual stats, right? And I found this was fascinating. eMarketer has some stats. Content Marketing Institute has some stats. These are good groups. These are not the tabloids in the store, right? And so what's been fascinating is people are listening to podcasts, and it's like Do we even need to say that? Yes, because we're not just listening to fun and sports podcasts and joke and comedy, but business podcasts too. Because people want to learn, people want to meet other people, hear about them, hear what's going on. How do I deal with SEO and GEO, right? Whatever your industry, they want to know what's going on and get informed and listen to the right combination of people that are entertaining, right? So people are listening, but what's really interesting is that business leaders are listening. Almost all of them, right, are listening. Um, on average, an hour a day. So business leaders are listening an hour a day. And so you'd think, okay, well, maybe advertising might give us a hint, right? Just like advertising clearly demonstrated that Google was the place to go, right? And so people kept putting money into it. People keep putting money, more and more money into podcasts, right? And so I'm not suggesting you should advertise on podcasts. I'm actually suggesting you should create your own because you don't even need to advertise. It's
Mhm.
yours and you get the relationship. But still, directionally, the idea that more and more marketers are spending this way. And CMI even said, hey, 50% of the people they surveyed are actually going to be investing more in 2026, right? So just this year alone, 4 billion, and a lot of people planning to spend over there in 2026. So there is some value if you have your own pod to advertising on other pods. But I don't recommend advertising on pods unless you have your own podcast, because the challenge is um, if someone's listening to a podcast and the call to action is go to my form, again, a take, or go, fill this thing out or have a chat with us. Most people aren't going to like put the lawnmower down, pause their commute, pull off to the side of the road and complete your action. But if the call to action is, hey, we talk about this and more on our podcast over here, come check it out sometime, right?
Mhm.
It's a great way to convert people over to your podcast. So just a thought there.
That makes sense.
Oftentimes, Paul, I'll get this question like, is this brand or demand? Spoiler, it's both. And if we had more time, we'd talk through more of these. But essentially, we're seeing uh, two different groups that we work with at Ringmaster. And some come to us and they say, look, we've got some demand challenges, or we really want to grow. We've got some aggressive, it's not so much a challenge. It's like, how much of the market can we scoop up? 2026 is coming. We really want to we have some aggressive goals. We have to hit all the channels properly. And we think this one might open up the other ones for us. And it's like, absolutely. So it's this currency, right? Connection currency. So we're seeing things where targeted guests, exactly who you want to talk to, end up in the top of your funnel, right? Sometimes they kind of skip toward the end. I had one conversation with an amazing podcast guest a couple of years ago, found out she was migrating to exactly the same software that my team at the time specialized in. I was like, oh, man, serendipity. Let's get
That
together.
works.
And we scoped it out, turned into a project, no sales cycle, right? Because we're friends now. We had a relationship. So we're seeing that. We're also seeing those that, like I described, that are in market, they're going right to like the finish line. Everyone else, and again, it's not magic. Not everyone's in market at the time, but it fills that top of the funnel so that they can start getting nurtured as their contracts come up. Now they're shopping you. They may not even be shopping other people. They just maybe migrating to you. And then finally, we're seeing customer stories and referrals coming out of it. On the brand side, great quote, be everywhere they are. And we're seeing also be everywhere where Google is and where GPT and all the AIs are. So you create some really cool ordered content. A lot of times people are just like, well, let me just keyword stuff, this and that. ChatGPT wants questions and answers. Why? Because they get questions and answers, right? And they give
Mhm,
answers. And
mhm.
so if you can formulate a question already and it happens to, it's just like SEO, right? It's just with an AI flavor to it. Podcasts are questions and answers. It's fantastic. It's already created that way. So we're seeing a lot of people repurpose podcast content into 1,000 other things. And that gets us on to the next thing. Before we run out of time, how do we integrate this with go to market, right? So obviously defining goals right up front. One of the biggest ways you can fail using a podcast in a B2B sense is not being very clear on the goal you're trying to achieve with it. We see this all the time. A lot of groups will come to us, they already have a podcast, or like one particular group, they stopped doing it last year around October. About this time last year, they stopped. It was cool, but took a lot of work. It does,
Mhm, mhm.
spoiler. And it was like they got some clicks and nothing really happened, right? They weren't seeing the top of the funnel. They weren't seeing these other things. And so We swooped in, we do a relaunch program, and then we've got them back on the right track now. But yeah, you got to start with the end in mind. It's huge, huge, huge for podcasts, because you start making decisions. Is it about me and my fame, or is this about our customer? Other things that happen. We're making micro niches now. It is not about competing with Joe Rogan or NPR. It's about narrowly creating a niche for a particular kind of ideal customer and serving them, right? So micro niches are totally in right now, and you design the podcast to serve those. And so what you end up doing is you actually make multiple podcasts, not a giant catch-all, right? So you mentioned at the beginning, like I do like all these different podcasts because that's what we're doing too. We're not trying to serve everyone with this podcast that no
With
one can really
one,
find a home, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And
What
then, oh, go ahead. You have a question?
question going back to ends, because I remember coming to you. I had a friend that had been running a podcast. They had forgotten why they were doing it, but they were also only running it. So they hadn't quit, but they were also only doing about one interview every 2 weeks or so. And your response was, "That is not enough." So can you dive in briefly into just what are the possible end games, and then how often you should be doing it? Because 2 weeks every other week is doesn't sound like enough, and why that is, you know? Can you dive
Yeah,
into that?
you're trying to form a habit, right, with these conversations, and also the more often you have them, the more often you're connecting with someone else. So
Mhm.
across the board, weekly is the starting point, and then very quickly you're going to see adding more becomes just like the go-to move. Because, oh, would you like to have an additional conversation with an ideal customer next week? Would you like two or three? I mean, how many would you like, right? How many more relationships would you like to create to fill your funnel? And but then at least weekly for the listener, because I don't know if you've ever had this. I've certainly had this with a podcast where I was like really into it. Every Friday on my commute, I'm throwing it in there and I'm excited. I'm like, just have my coffee, have my pod, and then one week I don't have it. And I'm like, where is it? Apparently they took vacation. Like they're not allowed to have vacation because I like that podcast. It's part of my pattern, my flow on Fridays is I listen to that, I drink my coffee, right? And I couldn't do it. So they had successfully created a habit in me where I really wanted to join them on their next interview and their next
Mhm,
conversation,
mhm.
and I couldn't. I couldn't. Now, by the way, amateur move. They should totally have just filmed two in one particular week and thrown that one in there. Um, but it was clear that there's something there to having a particular pattern. If you go every other week, you might as well not do it,
That's what you said,
or
yeah.
less. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's just not worth the end. Now you're going to talk to like 24 people across a year. You know, like, would you like to talk to more? So and again, it's all about the goal in mind too. So if the goal isn't that, if it's just thought leadership, then maybe. But I highly recommend to really get the bang for the buck. You just go weekly.
'Kay, sweet.
Um, Okay, and so finally, call to action, right? Um, really can be helpful to have calls to action that involve either listening to this podcast, that podcast, or some kind of like they're clicking on the show notes and they're linking off to it. And then I guess I skipped over this AI repurposing, right? So people often try to confuse the two. Human production, AI repurposing. That's how you should do that. And that's not just because Ringmaster produces podcasts. Hey, it's because we've tried it. Listen, we create clips for our clients all the time. We were like clip um,
You
machines over
you
there.
guys create good clips too.
Yeah, that's the
Yours
thing,
have,
right?
like, borders on it, and it highlights the
Yeah.
person at the bottom. When I was on your show, in fact, of all the podcasts I've been on, your podcasts have by far the best, most useful clips for me.
I appreciate that. And that's not me. That's the team, but they're finding so one of the things we found with like AI clip generators, and hey, maybe one day they'll absorb our team and then they'll be as good as our team. But like it's been really tough to identify the right moment. And what's the real trick here is most of the guests are not going to be talking in sound bites. Maybe some of your authors will, but most people won't. So in the end, a really good clip is that sentence, half of this sentence, and that one, right? And then get rid of
Yeah.
some of the postulating in between there. That is what makes for a good clip. It's not, let me go grab 20 seconds from here. right? And so that right now, that's what AI is doing.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's certain things you want to use humans for, but by all means, there's certain things that once you've got that core product, that conversation, that podcast episode, repurpose the crap out of it with AI. Absolutely download it all. Make your own GPTs with the transcripts, create blog posts, create social content, create all these things. As long as the core started out with some human conversation and then some human was behind the scenes going like, okay, key, 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 key,
Hmm. Love that.
key, key. Yeah. And so then rounding it out, just wanted to close with this because I know we're up on time. Um, I'm happy to answer any kind of questions on podcasting, how it might fit into plans. I can, check over your plan and tell you, yeah, that looks great, or watch out for this and this and this. Happy to do that. But one of the things we did is we created this doc, and again, this is on line of give, right? This is not like a take thing. This is like a give thing. A Google Doc that is a podcast planner, specifically with GTM in mind, specifically for B2B, and it talks you through the goals that we talked about, identifying some KPIs, understanding the timeline. Like for our team, we do a 2-month launch process. So if we start in November, that thing can go live in January. So a lot of people right now are talking about doing the launch process so that they can hit the ground running in 2026 and get as many numbers as they possibly can. Right. So it talks through the timeline, talks through some launch gates. Like, what are the different things that need to happen, whether you're doing it on your own, working with a team like ours. And then also, we touched on a couple integrating with GTM, but it has a whole checklist of have you done this? Have you let this team know about it? Does sales know about each episode? Integrate, integrate, integrate. One of the keys with GTM is it has to be integrated across channels, can't be in a silo. And so we have some silo busting checklists and even some dashboards too of how you might report this up, down, sideways to different departments so they understand what the heck you're up to. And so to get that, just DM me on LinkedIn or shoot me a quick email.
Sounds like some good stuff, especially that sample dashboard.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people have
Yeah.
questions about ROI. Casey, I have one final question for
Yes, sir.
you. We've talked a lot about today about listeners and then guests. How do you prioritize that? When you're creating it, especially for B2B, when you're creating a B2B podcast, are you thinking more so about the guests or the people listening?
That is one of the greatest unscripted questions I think I've ever gotten on a conversation like this. But it's a really good question. Wah, wah. Yeah, it's so important. And this ties back to the start with the end in mind. Like you do need to pick. Is it the host? Is it the guest? Or is it the listener? Who is the most important? You have to pick one. And then you can serve the second. And then there's the third. And you have to decide the order of that. And so, and I've talked to a lot of podcasters, a lot of podcast hosts who say listeners number one. Um, I've definitely met some folks where it's all about the host, all about the host. And and that's what they're trying to do, and they're like, "Make me more famous," and that does not usually work. For me and our methodology at Ringmaster, it's all about the guest. We make it all about the guest. You get really good guests that way. These are guests that also could potentially turn into revenue for you, which is fantastic and helps pay for the whole program. But when you make it about your guest, you're learning essentially about your customer, and then your audience hears that and and they want more, right? And so a lot of times if you make it about the listener, it feels sometimes it can feel like pandering. Like for those listening, please like and subscribe and don't forget to ring the bell. Ding,
Mhm.
right? And so we're not making it about the listener, we're honoring them. And definitely we want to create questions in the right order
Yeah.
because they come second. To me, it's like guest first, then your listener, than yourself. And so you really want your host to shine. You're giving them some questions in advance. You're really helping them answer it the right way. You set them up to just absolutely crush it. And then with your listeners, you order questions to get them value right away. You don't bury the lead. You give them the nuggets, give them more nuggets, right? You're trying to serve them. And then finally you come last. And to me, that's the order you really want to do it.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a huge shift, right? Because when I was running my podcast, I didn't even look at listener. I couldn't tell you how many monthly listeners we had,
Yeah.
because it was all about the guests. But something I think you guys do really well, having been a guest on 2 of your shows now, is, number 1, you take the time to do a pre-meeting because the reason why you're doing that is you want the show to be successful, but you also want to build that relationship. So you want as many quality touches with that guest as you can get, because that's what you want to do, is you want to build that relationship.
Yeah.
And I just felt like you guys had given so much. Like I had already mentioned, being able to get 5 really high quality, timely clips that look good was really helpful, because I get to repurpose that and use that on my own LinkedIn. So I think that whole give approach, I think we're gonna have to do another LinkedIn Live, Casey, on just that
Just to
process,
give.
just
Yeah.
the give part,
The
because
give.
I think you guys have. I don't think, for everyone that's on this listening right now, I don't think that we've dove into that enough, because that
Yeah.
really blew my mind when we went through that, and how intentional you are about the guest experience. Your guest experience
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah. Right. And especially it's your audition, right? So this is their first time meeting you. Is it squared away and organized? It's going to reflect your whole organization, even your product, like how they met you and their experience on that podcast is going to reflect, do I look at this tool? Can I trust it? Do I trust you? There's a whole bunch of things going on. But like, don't get me wrong, the audience comes second.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of programs to get this into the right people's ears, right? But again, it's not trying to get into everyone's ears. You're not competing with NPR. You're actually trying to get your micro niche, your micro community to all listen to your podcast because you're trying to serve them. So the people do come because they hear that you're not pandering and they want that kind of authentic conversation.
Cool. Love it. This has been awesome.
Definitely. Great questions, man.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I think we should do a follow-up and dive into that, because that's, yeah, I mean, podcasts are such a great way to get that initial relationship, especially in B2B. So we
Yeah,
got to hear from
100%.
you, Casey. You got to actually
Woo!
share your expertise. This is amazing.
Thanks,
So
man.
folks out there, if you need some help running your own podcast, I highly recommend checking out Ringmaster. Go get on the show with Casey. I'm sure if you reach out to Casey and you're like, "Hey, I want to experience this guest experience," he will have you on one of his shows. He has many. So reach out to him for that.
Yeah, definitely. Anything I can do to help, just shoot me a note.